Open session, so I have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Ginsburg.
Here.
Councilmember Brand.
Here.
Councilmember Horvath.
Here.
Councilmember San Marco is absent. Councilmember MD.
Here.
Mayor Aspel.
Here. And we have nothing to report from, we have one item.
Well, we have a couple of items. One is that for closed session number 1, we had Larry Cosmont in attendance, our real estate advisor. And for closed session number 9, Mr. Horvath recused himself. It was a matter where there was potential conflict. So we learned that when we went into closed session.
Oh, right, gotcha, okay. Okay, so we are now going to call to order the regular city council, so can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Ginsburg.
Here.
Councilmember Brand.
Here.
Councilmember Horvath.
Here.
Councilmember San Marco is absent. Councilmember MD.
Here.
Mayor Aspel.
Here, we're going to stand and salute our wonderful flag, and then please remain standing for a few moments of silent invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In honor of the events at Orlando, we probably should have stayed silent longer, but they're in our thoughts. Okay, we have no presentations or proclamations. I wanted to make one announcement before we go into the. It might be of interest to a lot of people in this room, and I think maybe Councilmember Brand and Laura, Councilmember MD can jump in on it. There's a park bond going around that the State Assembly is working on, and I'm going to read it to make sure I don't get it wrong. As some of you may be aware, there's a proposal working its way through the state legislature for a potential statewide vote this November on a bond measure to increase parks and open space in California. It's measure AB 2444. The city has been working with our Assemblyman David Hadley on negotiations regarding the language of the park bond proposal. Our goal and that of Mr. Hadley is to modify this bill to make funding available to use in purchasing as much of the AES power plant property as possible, so we can preserve it in perpetuity in park and open space. Over the past week, we have spoken to Mr. Hadley. Our lobbyist in Sacramento was Mike Arnold, as ideas to make this park bond more favorable to Redondo Beach. And Mr. Hadley, Assemblyman Hadley, is working really hard on this. So it's our hope that we get some favorable amendments to this thing where they would, a huge amount of the park bond money would go towards cities with fossil fuel power plants that need to go. And if you are interested in helping the city with a park bond or make sure it goes through, you may want to email Assemblyman Hadley. And I don't know if Bill, if you had something to add to that, you know about it?
No, it was great, Mayor. I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, we haven't had a park bond in California in about 13 years. So there's several people on the Senate side and the Assembly side that are trying to get one on the ballot in November. The November ballot's going to be jam-packed. But there's just so you know, to add on to what Mayor Aspel said, there's a lot of politics going on, and it would be helpful if some of you contacted Assemblymember Hadley as well as Assemblymember Garcia, who's out in the Coachella area, and just send him a short email or something saying you support 2444. And yeah, you hope it gets through the Assembly and the Senate.
It's a good thing for Redondo.
And then it would have to go to the governor. Governor would have to sign it, and then it would have to appear on the ballot. So it's got some hurdles to go through, but believe you me, politics are in full swing up there.
Which is why I was going to say, I think more important than Hadley and Garcia is actually important, but it really lies in the governor's desk. If he signs it, then it would be a big win for Redondo. So I think we should also add into that, who you need to contact is Governor Brown.
There you go. Okay, anybody else have any presentations or announcements or anything?
Nope.
Bill?
I've got District 3 community meeting this Saturday morning at Beach City Health District in the basement, 9:30 to 11, with special guest Fire Chief Metzger.
Okay.
I also have a meeting on June 18th at 9 a.m. in the Anderson Senior Park.
Okay. All right, the agenda only has one real thing on it, so we don't need to change
Well,
that.
the only thing, Mayor, is if you could pull consent calendar item H3, we're still trying to work on the wording
Haven't got there yet.
of that contract, and with the hope that we'll have that for you next Tuesday to review.
Okay. We have blue folder items here.
Motion to receive and file. Second.
Okay, here we go. Get around to reading. Is there a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have the consent calendar is only H1 and 2. Is
Motion
there
to
a
approve
motion?
H1 and 2. Second.
Anybody want to discuss these things? Good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, now is the time for public participation on non-agenda items. I think we're all here to talk about the project to the corner of PCH and Palos Verdes Boulevard. So, is there anything else someone wants to say? You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Eugene Solomon. I'm here in District 2. John Wooden tells us that if you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it over? Several weeks ago, the mayor vetoed a motion in front of the council to develop some materials about the financial backing of CenterCal and Westport Capital. It was a 3-to-1 vote, and the mayor vetoed it. After the fact, he mentioned to a reporter that he felt it was just a delay tactic and that the project should move forward. I would say that it wouldn't be a delay tactic. It is vitally important that we vet our financial partners. It's extremely important to vet our financial partners because you never know what their history might be. For example, Mr. Bruning from CenterCal Development was directly behind cutting the city of LA out of a $50 million project in Baldwin Hills, where they had an entity and they decided to bankrupt it. And then they sold it to one of their other entities, and the city was cut out of the deal. Westport Capital founder was terminated for breach of fiduciary duty to Oaktree. After it was discovered that while he was working for Oaktree, he started working on another project for Westport Capital. He wanted to create another fund. So he took that project, he resigned, and then the partners found out about it. So you've got Mr. Bruning taking his partners for $50 million. You've got Mr. Bernard, and he was paying a $19 million judgment against him to his partners at Oaktree Management. Westport Capital is what they sometimes refer to as, in my opinion, a vulture capitalist. They specialize in undervalued and distressed assets. And that's what we have. That's what they're telling us we are, and we're not. Westport Capital and CenterCal, they don't have this money. I've been talking to venture capital people, been talking to realtors, been talking to real estate investors, fund managers. What they're going to do is they're going to get the entitlements, and then they're going to create a fund. Westport Capital is advisory capital. They don't have money. They raise money. So you're going to give Westport Capital and CenterCal our harbor for 99 years on the promise that they're going to find the money, the $400 million. It's a bad idea. If you don't have a fiduciary duty to the citizens of Redondo Beach, you have an ethical and moral duty. And I would ask all of you to re-vote on this, to direct staff to investigate these partners. I would like to submit these documents to the council for the record.
To receive and file.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. There you go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, Julian Harvey, come on down. Next up is Michael Fleischer.
Hi. Hi, Mayor and City Council and staff. My name's Julian Harvey. I live in North Redondo Beach, and for some time I've enjoyed fishing. I've never been to the sports fishing pier. I've never been to Polly's, but I do congratulate you on reconsidering the statements made in the draft EIR that the pier would be demolished and may or may not be rebuilt. So I very much appreciate that, and I thank all my fishermen friends. Well, thank you too.
Thank you, Julian. Okay, Michael Fleischer. Pronunciation.
Michael Fleischer, Hermosa Beach. I was here a couple of months ago about the skateboard park. Now, some progress has been made, but we have not skateboard park, bicycle path, I'm sorry. Some progress has been made setting up for the skateboarders, but you have created a perfect storm. You have park with benches and lit all night. And we have parties down there now. The other night, 3 o'clock in the morning, we were woken up with a party going on there. I know you referred it to Mike, but all we've had is some superficial work there. I don't want to take up too much time with this. You have a busy agenda, but we'd really like something to be done.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll refer it again to look into it.
I've been talking to staff about that, Mike.
Okay,
Weekly.
good point. Come on down. You don't need a card. No one needs a card to speak.
Great. My name is Patty Doyle. My question is the beginning time for construction. Is it 7 a.m. is what I'm told? And it's too early. I mean, Seabreeze is being done and we're knocked out of bed in the morning with his bulldozers. I think it's unreasonable. And I would like you to make it 8 o'clock. That's what I would like.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Mayor Aspel, honorable council members. My name is Frank Angel. It's good to be back. I haven't been here in about 6 years. And I represent Save the Riviera and a number of organizations tonight. But this is not getting too ahead of myself to the topic of the public hearing, an issue that is broader than one that we have discovered in the case that's going to come up to you, and that is a pattern and practice of violations of mitigation enforcement requirements. What is going on when in MNDs or EIRs, the city is promising, the Caltrans and the city is requiring significant traffic mitigation, like in the example of CVS on PCH and Torrance, or in the case on PCH and Palos Verdes Boulevard, the Rock and Brews, there are significant traffic mitigations. In that latter case, a right turn lane from PCH south to Palos Verdes Boulevard west that was required and then gets never built. In CVS, there was a turn lane from Torrance Boulevard into PCH required. It never happened. It never got built. These are classic examples of illusory mitigation, and I will later point it out in the case that comes before you. In the Legado project, same thing. There is a left turn lane
Don't talk about Legado right this second.
from PCH going north into Palos Verdes Boulevard west, and there is nothing binding, nothing enforceable, and when the hearing lights are out, people are being told these mitigations are touted, don't worry, it'll be mitigated, it is mitigated, and then it never happens. That is a significant liability for the city, and we want to emphasize that and sort of give the heads up that that's an issue on yet another project that's coming up tonight. This is very important, and it exposes the city to CEQA liability beyond one single case, but as a pattern and practice. Thank you, and I'll talk to the project later.
Isn't the CVS about ready to be built? Torrance Boulevard?
Yeah, we are in process of finalizing plans and specifications for CVS right turn lane. The applicant fully mitigated their requirement by paying a fair share of about $90,000, which was their portion required for that project. It has been on a hold pattern due to the fiber optics in the street. We now have authority to break in and construct that, and we'll be out to bid very shortly for that project. It has taken a long time, and we understand. The Rock and Brews, any mitigation requirements on Rock and Brews are solely subject to the city of Torrance for that southbound right turn lane.
I was going to say that. The Rock and Brew is City of Torrance, so you need to go there.
And we have a
Explain to
CIP.
that, council.
And we have the CIP for the CVS project. It's been constantly worked on.
Okay, thank you. All right, so anybody else? All right. We are going to move into the public hearing, and I'm going to, before we open it up, I'm going to make a few announcements on it. We'll open the public hearing in a second without reading everything here, the Legado project, as it's known, on the corner of Palos Verdes Boulevard and PCH. This is a quasi-judicial public hearing. So what we're going to do is have an announcement and a motion to open the public hearing. Then we're going to motion to receive and file the affidavit of publication, case file and written correspondence. The staff is going to make a presentation. And then we'll take public testimony and presentation of evidence. The proponent gets to go first. Let me hold on a second.
And Mayor, while you're waiting for that, keep in mind, I don't believe I heard that you and the council do any ex parte communications.
Yeah, let me get to that. I know. So we'll have the proponents go first. The person's then the proponent, then the person's who in favor of granting the proponent's request, and then the person's opposed to it, and then the proponent has a chance to answer, and the city council can then comment. If any one of the council members has something to say beforehand, put your light on and you can still talk. It's not a big deal. But we want to give everybody a chance to talk. Last night, I think many of you in this room were either here or watched the Harbor Commission meeting on TV, and as I did. And I thought the chairperson, Lenore Bloss, nailed it. She did an outstanding job of running that meeting. And I took a few notes. You're never too old to learn something new. Everybody in this room wants a chance to talk, and everybody has the right to talk. And this is a very controversial project, obviously. So everybody, can you come up here and speak your piece, and it's better for everybody concerned if there's no clapping, cheering, mocking, or anything like that. You don't need to mock anybody because their views are opposed to yours. And by the way, we've got, I don't know, up to 100 emails. If you send us an email, I can guarantee you that everybody's read your email, and we'll take that into account, so you don't have to reread it to us. The timer lights over here, I really want to make I think everybody probably is aware of this, but if you're a rookie here, that green light goes on when you hit the podium, you start talking. The yellow light goes on when you have a minute left, and the red light goes on when the time's up. Out of respect to everybody and their time, please limit it to 3 minutes. If we extend one person, that means we got to extend everybody. Okay, so keep it to 3 minutes. So we're going to get the gong out and stop it. It respects everybody's time. If you do have to leave early, make sure you fill out one of these cards. Put your name on it, where you live, and just put yes or no. Let us know in 3 words or less. We're in favor of the project or opposed to it. If I read out your name and you've already gone home, I will announce what your opinion was on this thing, so your voice will be heard. And Lenore did that last night, and it worked out great. And let's see here. Remember, just be nice to everybody. You can see us, which means we can see you. So if you're in favor of a person who's talking, you're nodding your head, and we know. So anyway, and if you're opposed, well, you're shaking your head, and we know that too. Okay, so we're not going to open the public hearing. Do you have any ex parte disclosures?
Everything imaginable: emails, texts, phone calls, people knocking at my front door. And I tried to respond to all the emails up until about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So anything after that, I have not, but responded to everything up till then.
Okay. Bill, ex parte?
Yeah, likewise, emails, telephone calls. No one knocked on my door, but I did get a door hanger. Spoken with a lot of staff, obviously. Legado, I never spoke with Legado representatives. They never contacted me. I noticed that they spoke with several council members. Yeah, everything under the sun, basically.
Christian?
Yep, residents, Save the Riviera. I've talked with the union. I've talked with the applicant, staff, city attorney, God. I think that covers it.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for the conversation with God, but
we will get back to you.
emails, the union, residents, staff,
Okay, Laura.
Emails, residents, Legado, and staff.
Everybody in this room, and then some, has contacted me. We got the door hanger. My wife saw you. So I know her. Yeah. So she wanted to say hi, and you already left. Anyway, okay. So anyway, is there a motion to open the public hearing? So moved.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's continue public hearing from April 5th to consider appeal of the Planning Commission decision denying a request for revised mitigated negative declaration, initial environmental study, and mitigation monitoring monitoring and reporting program, including modified mitigation measures. And I will be here till 4 in the morning to read the entire thing. So is that okay there, Mr. Webb? Just open it. You have to read the entire. Should.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Hope you brought pillows.
Normally, I would say no, but I believe the last time when I advised you to follow your rules exactly, I indicated that the risk of a lawsuit, no matter what you decide, was elevated. Now I would say it's certain.
Okay.
No matter what you decide on either side.
There's a risk of costing a lot of money for the city, so I'll finish it up. A conditional use permit, design review, landscape and irrigation plan, sign review, and a minor subdivision vesting tentative tract map number 72662 to permit the construction of a mixed-use project with 149 residential apartment units and approximately 37,600 square feet of commercial development with a total of 614 parking spaces at a maximum height of 3 stories and 45 feet above existing grade, and the renovation of an existing 110-room hotel on property located within a mixed-use MU3A zone located at 1700 South Pacific Coast Highway. The council may also consider a request for the approval of a revised mixed-use project with 146 residential apartment units and approximately 23,800 square feet of commercial space with 578 parking spaces at a maximum height of 3 stories, with an average height of 33 feet and a maximum height of 42 feet above existing grade, and the renovation of an existing 110-room hotel on property located within a mixed-use MU3A zone located at 1700 South Pacific Coast Highway. I'm going to keep going. Possible actions include adopt by title only resolution number CC-1606-052A, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, California, denying an appeal of a revised mitigation negative declaration, initial environmental study, and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, including modified mitigation measures. A conditional use permit, design review, landscape and irrigation plan, sign review, and a minor subdivision vesting tentative tract number 72662 to permit the construction of a mixed-use project with 149 residential units, apartment units, and approximately 37,000 square feet of commercial space, with a total of 614 parking spaces. The maximum height of 3 stories and 45 feet above existing grade, and the renovation of an existing 110-room hotel on property located within a mixed-use MU3A zone located at 1700 South PCH, same address. Adopt by title only resolution number CC-1606-052B, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, California, sustaining an appeal in part and approving a revised mitigated negative declaration, initial environmental study, and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, including modified mitigation measures. A conditional use permit, design review, landscape and irrigation plan, sign review, and a minor subdivision vesting tentative tract map 72662 to permit the construction of a mixed-use project with 149 residential apartment units and approximately 37,000 square feet of commercial development with a total of 614 parking spaces at a maximum height of 3 stories and 45 feet above existing grade, and the renovation of an existing 110-room hotel on property located within a mixed-use MU3A zone located at 1700 South Pacific Coast Highway. Or there's 2 more. Adopt by title only resolution number CC 1606052C, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Redondo Beach sustaining an appeal in part approving a revised mitigated negative declaration initial environmental study and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, including a design review, landscape and irrigation plans, sign review, and a minor subdivision vesting tentative track map 72662 to permit the construction of a mixed-use project with 146 residential apartment units and approximately 23,800 square feet of commercial development with a total of 578 parking spaces at a maximum height of 3 stories, an average height of 33 feet, and a maximum height of 42 feet above existing grade. And the renovation of an existing 110-room hotel, a property located within a mixed-use MU3 zone located at 1700 South Pacific Coast Highway. Or 1 more. Adopt by title only resolution number CC 1606052D, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Redondo Beach sustaining an appeal in part and approving a revised mitigated negative declaration initial environmental study and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, including modified mitigation measures, a conditional use permit, design review, landscape and irrigation plan, sign review, and a minor subdivision vesting tentative tract number 72662 to permit the construction of a mixed-use project with 128 residential apartment units and approximately 23,800 square feet of commercial development with a total of 578 parking spaces at a maximum height of 3 stories with an average height of 33 feet and a maximum height of 42 feet above existing grade, and the renovation of an existing 110-room hotel on property located within a mixed-use MU3A zone located at 1700 South PCH. How's that? We got through that. Okay. Now, there's a public hearing is open, and it's up to staff to go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I believe that there's, and just looking at it and listening to it, I think that one of the options should be adopting the appeal and just denying the project. And I think that was not in there. I think this, it's in the staff report.
Adopt the resolution sustaining the appeal in part of approving the project.
No, just adopting the appeal and denying the project. I think that's in the staff report, but I did not hear that as one of the options when you read it.
It's not on here, not A, B, C, or D.
He's got it.
Deny the appeal.
Yeah, other way around.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Now, we'll turn it over to staff.
Okay.
You ready?
Mayor and Council, good evening. Tonight we have a presentation for you. Just as a bit of background, this public hearing was continued from your April 5th City Council meeting. At that April 5th City Council meeting, the Council referred the project to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation. The Planning Commission conducted that review and accepted further public testimony on May 19th, and as promised, we're coming back to you with options and recommendations as will be described in our staff report by Anita Kroger.
Thank you. I think it's appropriate to start this hearing with a review of the project history and some of the milestones. So to start, it's not on the slide, but the first public hearing was March 19th, 2015. It was a hearing at the Planning Commission for 180 units, 36,000 square feet of commercial space, 3 to 4 stories, 56 feet in height, in a contemporary style of architecture with the renovation of the hotel. The increased number of permitted stories, height, and a reduced parking rate could have been granted as part of their density bonus application consisting of state-mandated incentives, concessions, and development standard waivers. At the conclusion of the meeting, Planning Commission decided to continue the hearing to allow the applicant to address some of the concerns. On July 16th, 2015, the Planning Commission considered a mixed-use project with 149 units, 37,600 square feet of commercial space, 3 stories in height, up to 45 feet, contemporary architecture, renovation of the hotel without a density bonus application. At the conclusion of the hearing, the Planning Commission continued the meeting to allow staff the time to bring back the necessary documents should they choose to deny the project. They did not meet again until November 19th, 2015. At that Planning Commission, staff recommended the denial of the 149-unit version of the project. Legado was asked whether or not they would consider making changes. They said they would prefer to have an up or down vote. The Planning Commission voted to deny the project, 149 units. Shortly thereafter, Legado filed an appeal, and the appeal was discussed back in April, and staff has presented all the correct information regarding the 4 points of the appeal. So then, April 5th, we came to City Council, and that was the first public hearing on the appeal. So the appeal is of the 149-unit project. However, Legado made a request and said, we would like you to prove a 146-unit version of the project as a condition of approval of the 149 unit. They did not want to submit new applications for fear of having to go through the process again. At the end of that hearing, after the City Council heard from staff, the applicant, all public testimony, a conclusion was made that by City Council to send the 146-unit version of the project back to the Planning Commission, not for their approval or denial, but rather for their recommendation to get the Planning Commission input on that project. That takes us to the meeting of May 19th, 2016. The case was presented by staff to the Planning Commission, as well as the applicant and all public testimony. And after a long night, they concluded, the Planning Commission, made a motion to recommend approval of the project, the 146-unit project, with the 4 conditions listed above. A great concern has been about the hotel improvements. They recommended that the conceptual, architectural, and operational plans for the hotel be approved by the Planning Commission prior to the start of any demolition on this site. They want to see that the hotel improvements be completed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any part of the site. Furthermore, they stated quite clearly that they would like Legado to maintain the property in a clean and safe manner up until such time as a demolition process may begin. Lastly, they recommended the reduction in residential density or units from 146 to 124. 128, for the record, 146 to 128, too many numbers. This slide illustrates very interesting and important differences between the 149 and 146. As you can see, the change in residential units is minimal. It's 3 units. All right? But then when you look to the commercial square footage, there's a considerable difference, 37,600 to 23,800. That's about I would say about a 35% drop in the amount of commercial space. Furthermore, we can see that they've reconfigured how the buildings are laid out. They've lowered the height considerably. We started with 56 feet, then we were at 38, now we're at 33. They shifted the location or focus of the open space. It was originally at the corner, now they shifted it to the hotel. They increased the amount of on-site parking, and importantly, they changed the design style from contemporary to Mediterranean, which seems to be the preferred style. What this shows us is what the differences are in trips that are generated by the different projects. I would say that among the number one issue that people protested was traffic increases, congestion, those kind of concerns. So if you look at the 180, the 149, and the 146, we see that even though 180 to 149 is a big increase, not a big increase, a relatively large increase in units, but it only results in a 10% decrease in traffic. Then we look at the 149 and the 146. Well, it's only a change in 3 units. The big factor is the reduction of commercial space. Now we have a reduction of up to 68 or 70% of net new trips. This is a number one issue that's been voiced over and over again. And this latest version, given the reduction in commercial space, does address that. In case we have forgotten, this is a rendering of what the project looked like in the contemporary style of architecture. This is the current rendering of the project at 146 units, Mediterranean, very different shift organization of the building structure, etc. So through all this time, we, staff, the public, everyone has noted, okay, what are the concerns? As I said, number one complaint or concern has been, what about the traffic? Well, this project, or this rendition, looks at reducing the traffic by 68%. Furthermore, with the traffic mitigations, the LOS level will improve. We've talked about building height. Oh my God, it's so high and it's so bulky. 56 feet to 33 feet. Now, this was done in many different ways, including this last rendition. They actually pushed the whole project down, which means they will have to do more excavation just to bring the whole project down as a whole. Design, as we said, changed to Mediterranean. Safety, security, this is addressed through quite extensive requirements from the police department. The item that really is not addressed is, what about the hotel plans, the architecture, the operations, etc.? If this project were to be approved, the current requirements, mitigation measures, conditions of approval have quite a number of off-site improvements. So let's talk about traffic again. Between the conditions of approval and the mitigation measures, there will be new dedicated through lanes. There will be various restriping. There'll be new areas of what they call refuge. All this in combination, not individually, but in combination, improves capacity at that intersection. Now we talk about congestion. If you look at all the mitigation measures, all the other improvements, it looks to improve the level of service at the PM peak hour at that intersection from E to D. That's one whole level of improvement of LOS. Then traffic, Legado will be required to make a fair share calculation to something we discussed earlier, which is improvements at Torrance Boulevard and PCH. So anybody who goes through Torrance and PCH from here on in will benefit from that fair share contribution. Legado is being required to do a public right-of-way dedication. This will allow the width of the sidewalk, which is currently 8 feet, to go to 13 feet. That is a major improvement and pedestrian benefit. Lastly, Legado needs to do a major sewer upgrade of $1 million or more. As part of this upgrade, it will not just benefit the site, but it will also benefit projects and properties both upstream and downstream along PCH. Here are some of the potential actions that will be discussed. I think they're all pretty obvious. Deny the appeal, sustain the appeal with 149, sustain the appeal, looking at the 146, sustain the appeal in part, and look at 128 units. If the City Council should choose to deny the project, there are some procedures that they will have to go through, and we've tried to present all the requirements. Lastly, this is our recommendation. Open the public hearing, accept testimony, look at denial if you want, and look at these 4 options or possibly others. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And would the applicant like to say a few words, or many as you want?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the City Council. Thank you, staff. We appreciate the thoughtful report. We also appreciate the appearing before the Planning Commission. I know that's something that you all wanted to have happen as a matter of order. It was nice to finally come out of a process with an approval, albeit with some very major concerns that we just want to present tonight before Mr. Zucker speaks, because we need to make them for the record. I did identify some of our concerns about the Planning Commission's recommendations to the City Attorney in an email dated June of, I think, June 10th. And I want to incorporate that email for the record in case I missed something. There are 2 major points that we have that we want to discuss, and they fall into 2 boxes. Unit reduction, which the Planning Commission recommended, a further unit reduction. And then the second one would be a very close tying of the hotel project to the mixed-use project, which has some major problems we want to discuss. First, on the unit reduction. I just want the City Council to bear in mind that this project went from, as Anita's report astutely said, 180 units to 149 units to 146 units, and a drop of 12,864 square feet of commercial. And I think I mentioned to this council last time we met together in May that we could go no further into this project by way of cutting. And so the Planning Commission came up with a split the baby approach. There was no other rational basis for it. It basically was that they were coming with 128 as a difference between 110 and 146. That was the sole basis for it. There was no analysis of any impacts that would mitigate. As a matter of fact, we know as a matter of record that the 146 unit version has no impacts. So the further reductions do nothing but cut into the bottom line and make this project not pencil out for the applicant, and an approval of a deep cut. When you start looking at what we came here originally with and are entitled as a matter of law to, which is the 180 unit SB 1818 project, that we've passed the point where the project will not pencil out. So I want to insist and urge the City Council to consider the 146 unit project. It's important for not just because any further reductions are going to impact and render this a stillborn project from a commercial standpoint, but also there are still legal implications, because remember that Government Code 65589.5, the Housing Accountability Act, does not just put heightened findings requirements on you for denying. It also places heightened quantifiable findings on this City Council for reducing projects. So you can end up with an approval with a condition of approval that requires a further reduction in density, and you're still held to the same standards under the Housing Accountability Act. So we would submit that the the Planning Commission, although we appreciate the good spirit that came out of that, the 128 unit project is a non-starter and also could run afoul of the Housing Accountability Act just as much as a denial. So please keep that in mind. We've looked at also the negligible, if not complete de minimis, difference between the 146 and the 128 on impacts, and there's just no nexus. There's no reduction in any environmental impact from a traffic or an aesthetic standpoint. None's been demonstrated. The Planning Commission certainly didn't come up with the findings they needed to recommend this further reduction. So I strongly urge you to back away from the 128 concept and please consider the 146 that took so long for us to get to that final version of the project. And we think it's the winning project for the city and for Legado and for that corner parcel, which is now pretty much sitting there dormant. With respect to the tying of the conditions of approval, again, I know that the mayor, and we appreciate your concerns about the hotel. The problem with tying the completion of the hotel to issuance of certificates of occupancy, and the problem with tying approval by the Planning Commission to the issuance of building permits from the mixed-use project is it pretty much inextricably links those two projects together. The financing must proceed separately. And if these proceed, if one project component proceeds contingent on a completely different project, different pro formas, different marketing considerations, different lenders, it will render both components unfinanceable. Please bear in mind that the reason we have a vesting tentative map was to create an airspace to create separate collateral for financing the hotel. And Mr. Zucker is going to be able to speak better to that business consideration. But this is another thing. If these two project components are linked too much together and made contingent one upon the other, someone financing the hotel project is actually financing a mixed-use project that's outside their wheelhouse and outside their control, and that's what's going to render the financing impossible. So this also could result in basically an effective denial by rendering the project infeasible. The other problem, too, is there is a discretionary design review, apparently, that the Planning Commission would undertake. There's no code in your municipal code that allows the Planning Commission to go through design review, a discretionary design review. There is a process, but the criteria are not met here. The first criterion is that it only occurs, or the Planning Commission can only meet to go over a design review for developments on vacant sites that include 1,000 square feet or more, and B, any addition of gross floor area of 1,000 square feet or more to any existing development. And that's Redondo Beach Municipal Code 10-3502A, 1-3, or 123. That's important because the other problem with the financing is we've got at the end of this long, storied, labyrinthine process, we have yet another Planning Commission discretionary meeting on design. We would urge that be constrained as a ministerial process as opposed to a fully discretionary one. That way you guys are consistent with your municipal code. The other problem, too, is that you could approve the housing project tonight, and then we've got another discretionary meeting on the hotel design, which we may not get approved. So in essence, you are sidestepping the Housing Accountability Act by turning the housing project into a hotel project. For instance, you guys, you approve the residences, great, but we can't get the project done later on because of a snafu with the Planning Commission. That means basically it's a backdoor denial of the whole project, so that would implicate and wreak havoc with the housing accountability laws as well. But, we don't want to sit here and just point out the negatives. We also want to, but we have to make our record tonight, and we have serious concerns. We've conferred on this, and we'd be willing to have, notwithstanding our objections to a discretionary Planning Commission review, we'd be willing to yield to that as long as the design review of these two is not contingent on the mixed-use project. In other words, we want to make sure that we've separated these two projects out so that one is not tied to the other in any way. And if we can make sure that that occurs, we can obtain financing, we can get the project built, the Planning Commission can meet, and the design review can occur. And we would also ask that the design review be sort of constrained. There will be no unreasonable delay or denial, maybe a 30-day limit after submittal of plans to get a decision from the Planning Commission. But we need to make sure that these two components are separated and that they can proceed independently. That would be our proposal. But I would urge you, based upon what I've said tonight, that to please consider the 146-unit version. Please consider uncoupling these two components of the project as far as design review. Mr. Zucker is going to speak a little further to another really important issue. Your interest in making sure that's a great hotel and making sure it's completed timely, they're 100% in alignment with our interest. And we have a timeline, a construction timeline that basically projects both these projects being complete at the same time. We have no interest in an ugly Motel 6. We want a high-end product to complement the mixed-use project. Legado stands to, the city stands to make TOT tax, of course, on the hotel. We also stand to obtain a good part of that revenue as well. We have a financial stake in this, plus Legado's reputation. So our interests are 100% aligned. There's no reason to unnecessarily entangle these two projects. It doesn't get your objectives done. It doesn't get ours done. You'll end up with a stillborn project, and we'll end up with probably filing a lawsuit on it, and we don't want to do that. As far as lawsuits are concerned, we're not in the business of litigation. We're in the business of building. But Mr. Webb had mentioned the idea of a lawsuit. Please understand that this is an area of statewide concern. This is housing. It's not a local concern. It's a statewide concern. You guys already have approved this project in your general plan. And really, a lot of this has been good faith of Legado whittling this project down when we had full rights to go on an SB 1818, 180 units and 36,000 square feet of commercial. We've gone through a year-long pound of flesh taking. We're very happy with the product we have. We urge you to consider the 146. And please bear in mind that state law and the federal courts have come in and suggested, at a minimum, that there is exposure for violations of state law with a regulatory takings action. We don't want to do that. We want to build a project, and I'm sure you do as well. With respect to the risk of getting sued by the opponents, well, generally speaking, you guys have an indemnity. It's a standard provision in CUP, conditions of approval, and guess who picks up the tab on that? Legado. So we'll defend a lawsuit on behalf of the city, but we certainly think you want a project and not a lawsuit from Legado, and we don't want to bring that. But please bear these matters in mind. I probably missed some things. Hopefully we can have some time in rebuttal to answer questions and fill in the gaps. It's going to be a long night, but thank you for your consideration.
It will be. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Edward Zucker. I'm here on behalf of Legado. I want to thank you, the City Council, the Mayor, and our community supporters who are here tonight and who have been at prior hearings that haven't necessarily been acknowledged, and I want to thank all of you. I understand the city's goal, which is to reopen the hotel as soon as possible. Our motivation is the same as the city's. Since the Planning Commission hearing, we have worked further with the hotel operator, the architect, and designers, providing you this booklet of hotel design inspirations. Could we please pass those around? It demonstrates the high-quality 4-star boutique hotel that we're using for inspiration to design this project. It's very important to remember.
Second, hold on a second. Motion. There's a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay.
That'll be the
All in
last
favor?
one.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
It's very important to remember that the city and Legado's interests are aligned. It is nonsense to think of this as a Motel 6, as some people have accused. Legado wants a high-end hotel to maximize Legado's return on investment. Please recall that Legado receives 90% approximately of the revenue generated by this hotel, and the city gets approximately 10% of TOT. Therefore, Legado has the highest and the best motivation to make sure and ensure that this hotel is the best hotel it can be at this location. This is a win-win relationship. The city can, however, assist Legado by expediting the hotel approval and permit process. It is our goal to start the hotel improvements as soon as possible. Legado has a strong vested interest to reopen the hotel and generate revenue for both of us as soon as we can. I personally have a 36-year experience in real estate finance and development. My family has over 60 years experience. We are a family that's been rich in the real estate environment and finance in Southern California all this time. I've personally served under 3 different governors for the state of California under Cal HFA, which is California Housing Finance Agency. I also served the state, the Housing Finance Committee of the State Treasurer, which oversaw the refinance and affordable housing for public and public policy for the state of California for housing and affordable housing. And I was on a committee that oversaw the State of California Bond Debt Limit Allocation and the Tax Credit Allocation Committee for the State of California. I also served for 5 years in the banking industry and commercial lending. By tying the mixed-use project and the hotel project with any conditions of approval, this will kill both projects. In real estate lending practice, lenders are specialized by the product types. Apartments and hotels are different lending products. The lending standards are very different from product to product, such as the loan-to-value, the lending terms, the interest, the debt service coverage, etc. Lenders' top priority is to get their money paid back by completing the project and starting the income stream as soon as possible. No lender wants to lend their money on another product type that they don't fully understand, or on collateral tied to another project. Therefore, any conditions that are beyond the lender's control, they are not willing to lend on. Any further discretionary city approval of any kind will render both projects economically infeasible and unfinanceable. Therefore, we respectively urge you not to pursue any linkage between the 2 projects. Legado intends to build 2 high-quality projects that will be beautiful, create jobs, substantial city revenue, a quality destination, and a community sense of place that we can all be proud of. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for your proponents. All right. Let's see, lights on right now. The council has a lot to say, but we'll get to everybody here first. Okay, so the people, we don't have the cards in order. Do you have the cards in order of pro or con? Okay,
Can I ask a couple questions?
What's that? You have some questions? Okay. Oh, there you go. Sorry, Bill. Okay.
Thanks, Mayor Aspel. I just got a couple of quick questions of staff. How many new trips on the lot split does it take to create a significant impact on that intersection? I noticed an increase of 800, 700 and something, or something in that neighborhood. Do you know how many trips that takes?
Well, I want to be clear, if you're saying how many trips on the lot split, I don't understand what that means.
Okay, on the project, you showed a net increase in trips.
Correct.
Okay, so forget the lot split comment. How many net increase in trips does it take to create a significant impact on that intersection?
Oh, in other words, you're asking what the city criteria is. Like if it's more than, I don't know, 150?
No, I'm asking for a specific number.
Yes.
Yeah, it creates a more than 1%.
I believe you're talking
degradation.
for a sensitivity analysis, at which point the number of trips triggers the first significant impact. Is that correct?
Correct.
I don't believe that analysis has been done. The MND expressly analyzed the project as it was proposed and disclosed those impacts. I don't believe anyone has done an analysis of at what point does the next vehicle trip trigger the significance criteria.
Okay. And one more question. How many units are allowed on, if there's this lot split, on the parcel, I think it's 3.29 acres, how many units would be allowed to be built under the current zoning?
Well, we did in fact look at the potential that the hotel site is separate and apart from the rest of the development site. And in looking at that, we believe the remaining square footage allows approximately 128 units to be developed.
On 3.29 acres?
I'll do the math now, but it's 1 unit per 1,245 square feet of lot area.
Well, 35 units per acre, right?
Yes.
So can't you just do 3.29 times 35?
That works too. The answer, you get 115.15.
115. And then, yeah, what the developer has said here, folks, is true. We're not the only ones in this room. The state's in this room, and they're actually the most powerful force under these housing projects. And so I just have two questions for our city attorney. Is there any state statute that requires we, the city, accommodate how a developer finances a project, particularly a housing project?
I don't believe there's any state statute. If you're talking about the housing requirements, you can't deny the project, as council indicated. You can't reduce it unless there are no feasible mitigation. And you can't deny, like there are cases that if like you remove the commercial and left the housing alone, that would effectively be a denial. I don't believe that there's a requirement in the housing that the developer's preferred method of financing be achieved.
Okay, so we don't have to accommodate necessarily. There's no state statute that says, because if a developer just had the equity and the cash, he wouldn't be asking for it.
I think you look at the feasibility of the project as a whole as opposed to preferred method of financing.
Okay. And if we go ahead and approve this lot split that they're asking for with the 146 units, and they promise to do a hotel, what recourse do we have if the hotel is not built?
I don't know that you have any specific recourse.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks. When Legado bought the project, it was zoned hotel and then retail commercial, correct? On one lot.
Legado came in and asked for the development standards for an MU3C zone.
And then we got the lots.
They were They were given those requirements, which we out of the code. You know, it says exactly what the residential density is, commercial, etc.
How was it was one lot though, correct?
We're looking at one site. Yes.
Correct. And this is a lot split.
Okay. There's a lot of confusion. This is considered one project. However, much like is done at the Galleria, it creates a separate legal pad for the hotel. So if you go to the Galleria, it used to be the case that Nordstrom and Macy's
Correct.
had their own pads so that they could get their own financing. It's a combination of an engineering tool and financing tool. However, because those pads are located within the site and don't have direct access to streets, right? They can't operate independently of the larger site. So for example, if you look at the map that was submitted, it puts a square rectangle where the hotel is, okay? And it may be adjacent to PCH, but for example, at the Galleria, those pads don't have direct access to the street, but then there's all sorts of reciprocal agreements, okay? So they came in with one project and a request to create a separate pad only for the hotel. Does that help?
Yeah, but this hotel does have separate access to PCH. It's not landlocked by a gallery.
This one does, yes.
So it's, even though we've been saying, the lawyers have been saying it's, they're two separate projects, it's still really one lot. Okay, well, I'll hear from the public, but, you know, there was a, oh, I'll go back there to set the tone here. When I was a District 1 councilman, I believe it was 8 to 10 years ago that this first came on the radar screen. And the gentleman was Derek Jones, was the person that was your PR guy, advocate, whatever you want to call him. But I recall a meeting with Derek, and the whole thing was that they wanted to develop a hotel, and it was a top flight hotel. It never said a Motel 6. It was a hotel with pools and restaurants, and that the hotel was a priority. And that's the way I remember this thing starting out. And if there was residential involved, I don't recall, it was so minuscule it wasn't even worth talking about. It was, the object was to have a major market, and then and stores, shops, all retail, and a market and the hotel. And I remember the concern was that I don't agree with everybody about the traffic impacts of residential over retail. The traffic if Bristol Farms would have been a major shopping center, really would have had a lot of traffic there. So you know, that was a concern 10 years ago, that we were going to have too much traffic based on commercial. But and then it stated in the staff report that due to the 2006, 2008 recession, or 2009 recession, that that impacted those plans. And that, did you ever have plans before that, Aaron, with from Legado, without any residential or any inquiries?
Not that I recall, Mayor.
Okay. So anyway, that's how it started out. We had Derek Jones, which I don't think anybody else up here, most people hadn't met, and then he left, and then it was Darren Embry, a young lady, and a few other people. But that's how this thing all started out. And that's why I'm harping on the hotel, is the hotel was always the carrot out there, that we get a great hotel that brings in lots of TOT and is just full of tourists, that everything else would be okay. Now, as far as not residential, but it would have been retail. Now, a question on, since the lawyer spoke before out of turn, but it was about the right turn lane at CVS, and that was 4 or 5 or 6 years ago. And that's not it's a Caltrans. It's just a catastrophe about many mistakes, correct?
If I can suggest you go on, again, brief questions are fine, but you're
I have a question about the right turn lane, though.
Right, but I think it may be best where Mr. Angel, first go through those speaking in favor of the proponent, then speaking against. Mr. Angel has indicated he'll make his specific comments about that at
all right, well,
this time.
I had it written down already, so we'll go back after the
first.
people speak then. But it's going to be about the right turn lane. Okay, so what we're going to do is, the clerk handed me these, and they're numbered, and we're fallible. so I hope that's all correct. According to our rules of engagement, we're going with to the persons who are in favor of granting this project. So if you're an opponent and it drags on for a while, I apologize. If you have to leave, again, I will read what you said if you said anything on here. So, and I want you to come down to call out 3 names. So come on down and stand over to the side and get ready. The first person is Don Zerlip. The second one is Radhika Hurt, and then Bertrand Usher.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Don Zerlip, City of Redondo Beach. Thank you for holding this hearing. I want to say right out front that I am here in support of the revised 146-unit project. And I must take exception with what I heard from staff in an otherwise stellar presentation. My recollection, having been at that Planning Commission meeting, was that the amendment for 128 units was not a recommendation to go to that level, but a recommendation that you consider going to that level. And I'm here to suggest that that's not a solution to any of the problems that this project will address. We've already heard about how we have a housing crisis. We know in the city of Redondo Beach more than 50% of the people are renters. And having not built any rental property open to the full age spectrum since the 70s, and the fact that 20 years ago it was 50%, and whatever was built since then we still have 50%, indicates that those 200 lots that are being built out there are going out for rent, which means that we have plenty of 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units, whereas what this city is lacking is the entry-level units, the studios, the 1-bedrooms that are encompassed in the 146 units. And it's your obligation to have a complete spectrum of all the possible units available for the public so that we can serve all of them. And therefore, I suggest that the 146 units will better serve us. In fact, your approval here does nothing to reduce the FAR, the size of the unit, or the size of the project or anything, and one must presume that if you approve 128 units, the project will remain the exact same size, except the units will expand into 2 and 3 bedroom units, not really what we need here in the community. So I suggest that you adopt the 146-unit project. It will be a great advantage to the community. The mitigations that Caltrans is requiring, I don't recall ever seeing a project where the level of service increases due to mitigations. And reducing the number of housing units, if you looked at the reduction from 180 down to 146 or 149, it was a negligible reduction because there wasn't the reduction commensurate with the commercial. And the commercial is what has the greatest traffic impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Radhika Hurt. Is that the right pronunciation?
No, not really, but that's okay. It's a C, Radisa.
Okay.
Nice to see you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good
How are
evening.
you?
One more time. This is my actually 3rd time here. I strongly support Legado. I think that this building is going to be a great addition to the Redondo. They complain with all the requirements. City is going to get the money. It's going to be affordable housing. What else? You can't please everybody. Always there's going to be somebody that's going to say no. But my suggestion is, I'm going to keep it short. One more time, I strongly support Legado, and I strongly suggest you to approve this building, who is going to have 146 units project. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bertrand Usher.
Good evening, Council. My name is Bertrand Usher, and I'm here today in favor of the Legado project. And this
I'm sorry, I've been asking people where they're from, so you better just.
All right, so let me get straight to it. Imagine a community of young, energized, hard-working individuals, all centered around a bustling business-filled plaza. In this plaza, memories are made through fun-filled community events, weddings, art walks, and more. This vision of a perfect community can be achieved in reality, and it is called Legado Redondo. Younger residents of the city, like me, are here tonight because we believe that this project will have an overall positive impact in the city of Redondo for three key reasons. First, Legado Redondo will create more housing options in which our community desperately needs for millennials like me and others, and due part to its modern style. Second, the proposed retail space will bring more businesses to Redondo Beach, which will create more jobs and add revenue to the city. Third, Legado has worked with the city to conduct several traffic studies, and results have shown that this proposal will actually improve traffic flow of the PCH. Now, I want to just go off a little script here from what I'm hearing and what I'm saying. I just wanted to say this as a millennial to make this clear. This project is important to me personally because it shows progress if you guys go along with it. I understand that you have these political issues going along with, these little things, and from what I'm seeing from the opposition is, it's a historical landmark apparently for the Riviera and things like that. But I just want to say this as a millennial. I believe that building this it'll lead on to progress. You'll have more people who can you can have more millennials like me who can actually move into the city and live here. And trust me, Redondo Beach is a wonderful city, right? So, think about it like that. And the best way I can put it is like this. Please do not be against progress. This is progress. When you build this, you're going to pretty much bring a nice, modernized residential area to this city, and then essentially just going to make the city look better. It's going to make it look nicer, and that appeals to millennials like me because we like modern architecture. That's just how we are. So with that appeal, you're going to bring millennials, nice, young, energized people. We'll bring jobs to this community. We'll make it our home. And to simply put, that's about it. And if I can just clear it up and just say it in one word, it'll be progress, and that's why I'm for Legado, and that's why I am for the Legado project. That's all. Thank you very much.
For the record, for the clerk, you need to say what city you live in.
I live in the South Bay area, but as of now, I live in Inglewood due to a parental issue.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome to speak. You just have to write down where we live. We don't need addresses or anything.
All right.
Okay. So I have three more: David Feiner, Emily Hemingway, and then Albert Gash. Okay.
Hello, council members. My name is David Feiner. I'm from San Pedro. I'm 24 years old, and I go to El Camino College. I was a resident for 6 years before I left due to circumstances, but I lived on Avenue G for that time, where I graduated from RUHS in 2010. Now, I don't live here now, but I do work and go to school nearby, as I said. So if there is a chance for me to finally move out of my family's basement, I'd like to move back to my hometown. And I believe this housing option will not only help me, but it can help other millennials like myself move into Redondo Beach, where we can more easily go to school, but also save money on our road trip like carpools. Some people say this spot is a historical landmark, but I've never seen a historical grocery store before. In addition, I agree jobs will be lost in the short term, but through some patience, more jobs will be created in the long term. Lastly, Redondo Beach is a beautiful place where I lived for most of my life, but I feel like it needs even more beautiful, energetic, contributing members like us millennials. So I urge you to support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Emily.
Good evening, council members. My name is Emily Hemingway, and I've lived in the South Bay all of my life. I live in Torrance currently, but I have gone to school in Torrance, Redondo, and Palos Verdes. And I hope to one day be able to buy a house in this area, and I want to live here. I'd love to live in a place like Redondo Beach because it's so beautiful and I love this area. But since the area we live in is pretty wealthy and so many people want to live here, the problem for people like me, for people, millennials in general, is affordable housing. And We need apartments that are in a prime location like PCH and Palos Verdes Boulevard. I really do think that adding 146 units of housing to this area would be extremely beneficial to a lot of people. And Legado would benefit the community in other ways, especially with the retail, the 23,000 square feet of retail that could become a community plaza, or areas where we could have community events, art walks, etc. The retail space brings the community together. It helps the people like me, millennials, come together in a community and really feel welcomed. And it creates jobs in the long term and really will benefit the city's economy with those jobs. So overall, I do support Legado's proposal, and because of all the reasons that can benefit our community. And I urge you all to support this proposal as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Albert? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Albert Gosh from Los Angeles, California. This is my third time visiting, and in the past, I've experienced all the negativity against this project, and it's unfortunate because this is something the city needs to grow, to become part of the modern times. And like people have said before, you're not going to hear anything new, but as a young man that's professional starting a family, there aren't many housing options for us. And I think this project is really going to be something that's going to help the community and make it better. So thank you.
Thank you. Nice and short. Okay. All right. Got three coming up. Hayden Martin. I need my glasses. Gorin. And Bruce Ellis. It says 4. Okay, I didn't think so. Okay. Should we have these right? Okay. I'll put you back in the other stack. Okay.
You called Hayden Martin, correct?
What's that?
You called Hayden Martin,
Hayden?
correct?
Yeah, I
yes.
did, yeah.
Thank you. My name is Hayden Martin, and I support this project. And excuse me, I just encourage you guys to move with the Planning Commission on this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Torrance. Thank you.
Okay. See, we can usually tell just by who's signing in, which side you're on here. Okay, Goran. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Goran Ljubinovic. I've been working in Redondo for over 20 years.
And you
lived in Redondo and currently living in Torrance. I do support the project. It is beautiful addition to the city. As of now, we're losing a ton of money on TOTs. We're also spending a ton of money advertising in different countries our beautiful Redondo Beach to show people how wonderful this city is, to come and visit and stay. And what do we have? We have eyesore in Riviera Village and nothing to show to these people. So adding beautiful project will help further promote our city and bring more tourists to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Okay, next up we have James Gross, Anthony White, and Mike Krantz. James Gross. Okay. All right. Anthony White?
No, Mike Krantz.
Oh, you're Mike Krantz. You might as well go ahead. Okay. Yeah,
I am now living in Palos Verdes, but I lived in Redondo Beach for like 15 or 18 years. I still have a boat parked at King Harbor, so I kind of consider myself a citizen. I'm fully behind the development of that site, which I've been watching every time I drive by, and something needs to be done, beautifully done, and I see the renderings of this project, and I think it'll be a fantastic project. Good for the city, and I am not a millennial, but I have a millennial who's 22, and he would be perfect to live in a one-bedroom apartment. All the stuff that gets developed, and I'm a broker here, that gets developed is all for sale product. There's no rental product being built in the city of Redondo Beach. And so that is a sore area, and it's something that's really needed here. So that's it.
Thank you. Okay. You're James? All right. James Gross. And state where your name and where you live.
Good evening, Council.
You
James
live?
Gross. I live in San Pedro.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
All right. When I see the site now, I see a lot to be desired. When I look at the plans for this site, I see a code-compliant project with 146 units, in addition to all the commercial uses, potential commercial uses out there. Now, speaking strictly of the units, that's 146 people who can live in the area, live close, relatively close to where they work. It's 146 more people who live within walking distance of Riviera Village, minimum, and also within biking distance of Redondo Beach Pier. And I say that because this is a project that fills a need to, it addresses the area's obviously bad housing problem with reasonable rates. And overall, I like to say when it comes to housing, all new housing, regardless of size or square footage, is good housing. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Okay, Anthony White, you're here. You're Anthony.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and staff. I'm Anthony White. I live in District 1 in the Riviera Village. Now that we all recognize that the Legado 146 project is in complete compliance with all laws, codes, and the city's general plan, I urge you to please vote yes and approve this 146 project that Legado has more than met their burden, has engaged our community, and has made an abundance of changes to meet the needs of Redondo Beach. Me and the 67,000 other Redondo Beach residents, including our entire business community, welcome the hundreds of new jobs this project brings, the millions of dollars in infrastructure upgrades, and the new city hub in the Riviera Village with a beautiful boutique hotel and rooftop deck. The much-needed safety and traffic flow upgrades to this dangerous intersection at PV Boulevard and PCH, and the security that tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars will not be wasted on fruitless litigation we know we can't win. As City Councilman Brand astutely pointed out from the dais, and we would then be also responsible not just for our defense costs, but the legal fees Legado incurs to get what they have lawfully been entitled to all along. But the threat of litigation does not end there. A no vote opens our city up to litigation from the countless civil lawsuits by personal injury attorneys who represent accident victims involved in vehicular and pedestrian accidents at the current intersection of PCH and PV Boulevard. Again, as Councilman Brand acknowledged from the dais at the last City Council meeting, that this intersection is a hazard. Both Legado and I have shown respect towards the subjective opinions and wants of our neighbors. But as you all know too well, there will never be an end to these unquantifiable points of view, unsubstantiated complaints, and regressive demands that fail to take the matters of law into account nor the consequences if ignored. We are also united in denouncing the few at Save the Riviera who choose to take part in personal attacks and name-calling over constructive debate, or the local Union 11 who tried to strong-arm to support or oppose with an exclusivity contract, Legado. A no vote lends credibility to this uncivil discourse that has taken part in Redondo Beach. I'd also like to address Mr. Jones had stated in his administrative report most recently that it is clear that from public comment and testimony that the community desires less development and further revisions to the project. I again remind you that there are 67,000 residents in our community, and this bleak opinion...
Oh, sorry, you're done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, John Erickson. Sorry, not laughing at you. The next one is Frank Angel, 4. I know that's, you're not, no, you stay there. You're not 4. I'm going to change it up. And Arnett Travis will be after that. And then after that would be Scott O'Neill.
Mayor, that's quite all right. You laughed at me.
What's that?
That's quite all right. You laughed at me.
I know. Okay.
I did get a door hanger, unlike Mr. Brand. It's got like a military boot talking about Legado development. And I do live on Avenue G on the 200 block. I've been there for about 15 years. We just built a new home. And unlike my resident neighbors, they're a little bit opposed to this development. I, on the other hand, think that this organization that's going to build this property has made a bunch of amends to scale it back and make it better. And I appreciate the community for voicing their concerns and making it a less dense unit or units. But I think 146 and 23,000 commercial space is a good compromise. They haven't addressed their hotel plans, but I believe it's their property and they don't necessarily need to. And whether it's something like in Hermosa Beach where Sharky's or whatever that place was that stayed vacant for a while until they got the city to do what they needed to do. It's their right. It's their property rights. And at the end of the day, I believe that, as a matter of law, it's their right to do so. And it's a dormant parcel, and I, as a neighbor, would like for them to develop the property in a professional and high-class way, and I believe they will. And I also, as a resident of the 200 block of Avenue G, want to be able to walk when I don't commute to work. And to have an extra restaurant or salon or, actually when my family comes in from Michigan to stay at a nice hotel, I think that would be great because I don't want them to stay at my place. So, I'm not an attorney. I don't understand the litigation that might happen if you don't approve this, but I think that if you do, that'll make the hotel open sooner, and I trust that it will be a nice hotel, and I think that will give our city more taxes sooner, and $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow, and I also want to say that the linkage between the two properties, I think they could self-finance if they wanted to, so I think that's a moot point. And I also believe that the millennials that are here and then the older folks that are here, let's come somewhere in the middle, and I think this is a good compromise. So that's where I'm at. And I just want to say that I hope I don't piss off my neighbors too much.
Thank you. Okay. Arnett? There you are.
Good evening, Council. Mayor, my name is Arnett Travis. I am a resident of Redondo Beach. And I just want to say that Legado has acted in good faith. They have more than demonstrated their role as a good neighbor by jumping through hoop after hoop, from revising or reducing the number of housing units to design do-overs. There's no logical reason for further denial of this project. I am in favor of the project, 146 units. I'm excited to see it done, along with some other progress made in this city, and let's just get it moving. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnett. Okay, Scott?
Good evening. As a young professional,
where are you from?
I'm from Redondo Beach.
Okay, good,
I'm a
thanks.
resident here. I wanted to come out and support the 146-unit project. I think it gives the city the opportunity to have a development that provides some sorely needed new housing at affordable rates for people my age. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, let's see, we have Hytham Kiswani, Lawrence Shaves, and Michael Donovan next.
Good evening. My name is Hytham Kiswani from Manhattan Beach, and I'm in support of this 146-unit development. I think there needs to be new development for multifamily in Redondo Beach, not just brand new homes. And I think this has been going on for a long time, 8+ years. And it's about time we have a new development here for people to afford some housing. That's 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, not full-on houses. Thank you.
Thank you. Lawrence Shaves. Come on, how you doing, Lawrence?
Good evening. My name is Lawrence Chaves. I'm a resident of Redondo Beach. Greetings, Mayor Aspel, City Council, and my fellow Redondo Beach citizens. Like I said, I'm a current Redondo Beach resident, a longtime resident of the South Bay. I'm also a local realtor with Keller Williams Beach Cities. I'm very familiar with the South Bay community, its upcoming potential new developments, and the the concerns of our citizens as well. I know Redondo Beach faces multiple new developments in the works that tend to divide the city each election, every step of the way, whether it's AES, the Center Cal, or Legado tonight. There's concerns that should be addressed, of course. However, as a realtor, I welcome the new developments. I feel they will bring life and business to our city, and quite frankly, I look forward to the discussion moving forward on all three of the developments. But also, as a realtor, I feel compelled to advocate for landowners' rights. As a landowner, the Legado development has the right to utilize their land however they see fit, as long as they are following the zoning laws and regulations, as well as the city's general plan. And Legado appears to have even gone further by reaching out to the community to address the concerns that we have. So kudos to them. The current use of the buildings there are kind of non-existent or seasonal at best. There's the pop-up gallery and a fire-damaged inn. So that entire corner has been rather dormant and an eyesore for some time now. And dormant real estate leads to a dormant community. So the longer we wait on this, the longer it will be before we receive any TOT tax dollars from the hotel or bring any new jobs or life back to that particular corner of the Riviera. So this land and these developers have a vision to bring life back to this location, along with new jobs and revenue for the city. They followed all the laws, and it's their right as landowners. And in my honest opinion, the 146-unit Mediterranean plan is quite nice. So I see no reason for the current city council to delay this development any further. I recommend you follow your policy and your general plan and allow this development with the 146-unit development to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Okay, Michael Donovan.
Hello, my name is Michael Donovan. I'm a resident of the city of Redondo Beach. I purposely moved my family here 5 years ago for the wonderful community environment that I expected in education, but I quickly found that the shortage of housing and to move up where I want to be was not available. And currently, and it's really surprising that I'm hearing that it's been since 1970s or whatever that a project of any caliber or size has been introduced to this city. I'm an architect and a builder, and I'm frequently a guest speaker at both USC and UCLA on this topic. And it's just kind of frustrating that here in my own town, we just can't seem to get past the essential need for availability of housing at multiple levels of economics for people. It just seems this is a classic case of the people that have property and inherited it or have ample funds for the people that don't have the funds and want to get into the city and take advantage of what we have as a community. This project, from what I've seen, I've been on this podium 3 different times now. It is a project that has been addressed all the concerns, or most of the concerns of the community. We're not going to appease everybody, but they've addressed as many concerns and reduced the size and the style and the quality of the architecture. So I just don't know what Plan B is for the opposition. If they want to leave it an abandoned wasteland or a ghost town, I just don't understand. So I think this project brings a lot of improvements to the area, improved taxation, a vital community. It's an opportunity for us to have a true community in this area, and I just don't want to see it continue to drag on and be a rundown, wasted opportunity. So I wish you would do the right thing and just say no to the NIMBYs and move forward with this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Greg Bouchard.
Hello, good evening. I'm an 8-year resident of Hermosa and also a real estate investor. I'm reiterating a lot of what's been said already, but I feel there's a lack of 1 to 2 bedroom and studio apartments in South Bay. I have numerous friends who've moved to the area over the last couple of years and have settled upon other areas of LA to live in because they can't find affordable housing. I don't understand the cons of building this project versus doing nothing. It makes sense to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, that was it for the ones that were originally handed. Don't just keep those there for now. So the early bird gets the worm. So I am going, but we have like 7 or 8 undecideds. You're probably tricking me to get up here early. So we have a lot of people against it, so I'm going to take the undecideds. I'm doing you a favor. You wrote down and didn't know, so you don't have to use all 3 minutes all the time. So Nestor Moto Jr., and then Levon Dismondo, and then Jason Wing. So, hi.
Hi, my name's Nestor Moto Jr., and I'm actually a resident of Long Beach. I came here today because we all know, as evidence in this room, California is overpopulated. Southern California is overpopulated, and we need to do something about it. Legado has presented a project that has been revised numerous times, and it's time for the city council to approve it. I believe Legado has bent over backwards to appease not just these residents, but yourselves as the city council to every demand you guys have presented to them. And as I stated before, with the overpopulation problem that residents in the city seem to overlook, in my opinion, this problem needs to address, and I believe this city council and this city has a great opportunity to address that here. Because whether we like it or not, Southern California is just, it's too crowded, and we need to do something about it. And we have to remember that this project is for the future. It's not just for the people that are living here right now. It's for the people that are going to live here in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. So we have to look at it in that perspective as well. It's not just for the people that are living here today. It's also for the people that want to live here. And I believe everybody at this table should look at this project and say, you know what, they have complied with everything that we've asked of them. They have sought community opinion. They have done tremendous outreach to the community, and I believe this project should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Levon Dismondo, and then Jason Wing.
My name is Levon Dismondi, and council members, Mayor Aspel, yes, I am a resident of Redondo Beach. I have lived here for over 50 years. We have to look at this is not complicated. There are 3 arteries that lead into Palos Verdes. That's Palos Verdes Boulevard, Crenshaw, and Hawthorne, period. The traffic that is in that intersection, plus buses, and what this project will create is more congestion, not less. I've lived on Alberta, right there on the avenues, for over 50 years. And it's not complicated. We do not have one hospital. Redondo Beach does not have one hospital. Neither does Hermosa Beach, nor Manhattan Beach. Hospitals, people that are in this project and live in these condos are people. That means they are going to create and impact our schools, our police departments, our fire departments, and all kinds of problems. Plus the fact that they will impact all of our schools. And the traffic will be completely, a total chaos there at that intersection. And so as a resident of this city, for as long as I've lived here, I am really totally, extremely against this. Everybody would like to live here, certainly, but I've earned the right to live here. I worked hard. My husband, who I lost in '98, we were in business in the village. Everybody would like to live in Redondo Beach near the village. But if you go down in that parking lot by Trader Joe's and you try to find a parking place. So to say that you want more people, more problems, more people that will impact every one of our departments is just totally nonsense. It's just ludicrous. And statistically, if you just look at what causes problems is people. And so I ask you to look at just the statistical problems and what this will bring to our city. Look at the condos that line at the Esplanade. Look at the people that line Avenue G and Avenue H. They are lined with condominiums. So all those people also will be
Thank you,
impacted.
I got the red light on,
Yes.
but
So
got
I
you.
thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate living here. I really do. I love it here, but I don't want more people.
A little extra time, so we don't have a lot of clapping here. Okay, Jason Wing.
Hi, my name is Jason Wong. I'm a small business owner here in Redondo Beach.
That's not a no.
It's not at all.
Okay. Look at old you. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, go
Apologize for
ahead.
that. Hand ready. No, I just wanted to express my support for the 146 unit proposal. As a small business owner, I know that there's a lot of investment that's needed in the Riviera Village. Legado Redondo has been a great neighbor by keeping the area clean and free of vagrants. I mean, if you've seen other areas in the city of LA, in the South Bay, you'll know that is 100% true. Also, I mean, if you look at all the businesses that have left the area, including small businesses like Bristol Farms, like Albertsons, like Nordstrom's, and then you look at the big businesses like Toyota, Northrop, and Honda's coming. We need affordable housing, and this project really provides that. And furthermore, denying it is highly discriminatory. It basically is putting up a barrier and saying, you guys are not welcome here. Only millionaires and billionaires need apply. And morally, I think that's reprehensible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Alexandra Wayman. Tatiana Osipova.
My name is Alexandra Wayman. I live in Los Angeles. Good evening, Mayor Aspel and City Council members. I'm a research analyst for Unite Here Local 11, a hotel and restaurant employees union that represents over 20,000 workers in LA and Orange counties, including members who live in Redondo Beach. We strongly oppose this project and support Save the Riviera. There are many problems with the initial study mitigated negative declaration. There's a fair argument that a full EIR should be prepared for the following reasons. The first is land use and consistency. The shape, mass, size, scale, height, and density of the proposed project are incompatible with existing development and violate the city's general plan and Municipal Code Section 10-2. 0.912. The project will have specific adverse impact upon the public health, safety, and with regard to traffic, on-site parking, neighborhood parking, and noise. The city improperly calculated traffic baseline using a non-existent Bristol Farms and a closed Palos Verdes Inn. The proposed project is designed will create noise impacts during construction on the residents of Avenue G. Just because noise may be temporary does not mean that it is not significant. The mitigation measures in the MND for mufflers and sound barriers lack appropriate performance standards. Air quality impacts and their concomitant impacts on human health must be studied in the CEQA document, and it is not adequately analyzed in the MND. The MND lacks any specificity and almost completely omits a discussion of cumulative impacts and other planned development projects in the vicinity. This project cannot be considered in a vacuum without the proper study of cumulatively considerable impacts. The MND also does not mention AB 52, which requires the city to provide notice to tribes that are traditionally and culturally associated with the geographic area of the project. Additionally, we are concerned that Legado Companies has failed to provide any plans for the renovation of the Palos Verdes Inn by insisting that the plans must be contingent on the approval of the mixed-use component. The location of the Palos Verdes Inn has been allowed to deteriorate since it was purchased in 2006, most notably since the fire occurred at the Palos Verdes Inn in June 2015. The initial study mitigated negative declaration has an inadequate description of the hotel component of this project, and the city must ensure that the project is developed coherently with full knowledge of what the end product will be. This project raises significant legal questions, and for that reason, we ask you deny the project.
Okay. Hold on, Miss Alexander, hold on. Could you come back? Councilmember MD had a question for you.
So I'm confused. None of your reasons said why a labor group would be opposed to this project. I understand why all those reasons are what Save the Riviera said, but why is a labor group? You never mention that.
Okay, so when we look at development, we look at it from a very holistic perspective. We do have members that live in Redondo Beach, and we want to see development that's good for the community where our members are living and raising their families, in addition to...
How many of you live in Redondo Beach? Just to raise a hand, how many live? ¿Cuántos viven en Redondo Beach? No, okay. Well, no, the translator from the Harbor Commission was here, so I assume some of you do. Okay, so I just was asking.
Okay, Laura, we probably shouldn't go this way.
So, okay.
No, Laura,
So anyway, so nobody lives in Redondo Beach. So why? So you're just looking at it holistically. That you were saying that the labor groups are against this because of the holistic issues, not because you are against
Laura,
the labor.
we probably
I just want to make sure. I want to give you the chance to say that. That's all.
No, I understand. You know, we support responsible development in communities, and we also support developments which are also going to be providing community benefits and also good jobs when the hotel is open. But we are looking at this project from the perspective of how it's going to impact the community.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next one is Tatiana Zapopa. Okay, how you doing?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tatiana Osipova. I am a sales associate at duty-free shop
Speaking
at
of the
LAX,
microphone.
at LAX airport for 3 years. I have lived in Redondo Beach for 11 years. I live at Stanford Avenue. I like living in Redondo Beach because I like live in a beach community. As a Redondo Beach resident, I have concerns about Legado Redondo project, and it is affecting community that I live in. Legado Companies is an out-of-town developer that will profit from this project, although they have no taste to the Redondo Beach community. This project will set trend for irresponsible development in our city. The project is not supported by the community. It doesn't have affordable housing. It will not create good jobs. It also does not follow California Environment Quality Act guidelines. I'm concerned about how the traffic from this project will affect air quality and greenhouse gas emissions. I am also concerned about cumulative impact this project will have on the surrounding community. For these reasons, I asked you please deny this project as proposed.
Thank you. Okay, Michael Casillas, and then Nikolai Drisback.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is Michael Casillas. Although I am a current resident of the historical Pico Union District of downtown Los Angeles, I have been coming to the Seaside. I grew up going to the Seaside Lagoon and the Redondo Beach, the beautiful Redondo Beach area, and always thought that I would reside here after I graduated college. But now, as a soon graduating millennial, I see that that is not feasible. These apartments you guys planned on building will be market rate. And therefore, me and most of my fellow college graduates and most of my millennials will not be able to afford these apartments, will not be able to reside in Redondo Beach. and that's why I don't support the project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nikolai.
My name is Nikolai Dressbach. I live in Hermosa Beach for the past 4 years. Before that, I lived in North Redondo for 5 years on Voorhees and Green. I'm a bartender at Areas USA at the LAX airport. I am also a proud member of Unite Here Local 11, which provides good paying living wage jobs, healthcare, and dental insurance. As a member of this Beach City community, I would like to see other workers actually have the ability to live here in Redondo Beach. The new apartments that are going to be built as the Legado Redondo mixed-use project are market rate apartments, which will not be affordable for any millennials or just hardworking people. There are no current plans for the renovated Palos Verdes Inn, and if it becomes a motel with no amenities, it is not going to generate enough money for workers to be paid a wage to be allowed to live in the adjacent apartments by it. So I personally support responsible development that's going to create a sustainable community in Redondo Beach and a developer that's actually going to listen to the concerns of this community. And as this project, as it's proposed, absolutely has neither, and I ask that you please deny this project as proposed. Thank you.
Figure some of this out. Rachel Torres. Rachel?
Can they sit down if possible? Can we see the speakers?
Yeah, please, you should sit down.
We understand that.
You know what? Why don't you sit down and to show some respect to the people behind you? Don't show any respect. That's fine. Go ahead. That always works. Okay. Go ahead. Works with my kids. Okay. Rachel Torres, go ahead.
Rachel Torres. I'm a senior research analyst with Unite Here. Look, I don't live in Redondo Beach, but I come here almost every single week. I train for triathlons, and I love Redondo Beach. I think it's a wonderful, beautiful city, and I respect the community, and I respect the leadership here tremendously. And I believe that we can do responsible development here, just as we do all across the county. I've worked in almost every city in this area: Santa Monica, Long Beach, Los Angeles, Pasadena, Glendale, Burbank, West Hollywood. And every project I've ever worked on over the past 8 years on these types of developments, development is always controversial, but I believe in the community, I believe in the leadership here, that we can create projects that are both good for the community, good for the developer, good for workers, are in conformance with the California Environmental Quality Act, provide affordable housing, provide good jobs, and have good standards around traffic and parking. All of these things are possible. Legado is a company that's done development all across the county and knows how and can do development. This is not an impossible scenario. What is crazy is that we are at an impasse in which either side is promising to file a lawsuit. I believe that we can do much better here. I believe that development can be done better. I believe that Brogdon hotels can do better. They know how to do good hotels in different cities. This is not the way we have to end it tonight. We have the opportunity to create much stronger development, responsible development, development that works on all levels. And if this project is not ready at all of these levels, what's the rush to move it forward? Why do we need to do it now when we have the time? We know that development is at an impasse right now. Why don't we take the time and work with the community, work with workers, work with the developer, work on affordable housing, work with projects that are affordable, that for myself, a millennial who could never afford this site, we can do much better. And so I encourage all folks, all stakeholders at this time to work together to create a much better project. And if it's not shovel-ready, if it's not what respects the community, what respects CEQA, what respects workers, what respects residents, that you do not move forward tonight. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Chris Gray. Chris Gray here? And then we're going to go to the people who said they are not for it. Okay.
Good evening. I was here last time, and I came with a different perspective, if you recall. I'm one of the apartment operators. I came all the way from...
Hey, your name and your...
Yeah, Chris Gray, all the way down from Thousand Oaks. We operate apartments in South Bay, though, specifically Redondo Beach. What I wanted to point out is, again, give a different perspective tonight of the kind of the cause and effect of the decision here tonight. If you recall last time,